Hello students, it's your history teacher and I'm here with another online lecture. So this is the last unit of this school year, Slovaks in the Kingdom of Hungary. So the Slovakia is a part of a multicultural kingdom based on a feudal system. So what happened after the Great Moravia stopped existing? This unit will be divided into two online lectures, so one today and one on Friday. And today I will talk about arrival of the Hungarians as the first part of this lecture. So the old Hungarians were nomadic people, so they were traveling from place to place, and they were members of the Uralic language group that is different than Indo-European group. For example, the Hungarian language is kind of similar as a Finnish language. So they were very different in comparison to the Slavs. After many attacks from Tatarian side, 7 nomadic Tuareg tribes came from between rivers Volga and Kami in Ural. So this is in modern-day Russia. Ural are the mountains. So it's like a mountain massif. And they came from this territory into Pannonian lowland. So this is the land of modern-day Hungary, či Panonská nížina. The Hungarians, or the Magyars, were named after the leading tribe of Magyars. So Magyars were the strongest leading tribe of the 7 nomadic Tuareg tribes that came from between rivers Volga and Kami. The leader of the tribe of Magyars was Arpad. Nomadic societies have always been poorer than farmers, and so they attacked rich European cities, mainly in Austria and Germany, for more than 50 years. Because these people were just traveling from place to place, and so they have to steal from the other, because they could not grow something, and so on. In the year 955, in the Battle of Lechfeld, the king of the Germans, Otto I the Great, defeated the Hungarian cavalry. These nomadic tribes usually were the strongest in cavalry, čiže v jazde. Jazda bola najsilnejším celkom armády týchto kočovných kmeňov, pretože na chrbte konia strávili väčšinu svojho času. After this defeat, the Hungarians were broken and changed their way of life, so they settled. They changed their life from nomadic life to settlement. And for this settlement, they chose the Pannonian lowland. So they were the neighbors of the Slavs. There were many things they needed to learn because they have never farmed before and so on. So the Slavs became their teachers. We have a lot of evidence of the relations between the Hungarians and the Slavs. For example, many Hungarian words connected to the administration have the Slavic origin. For example, király, král, kováč, kováč. Išpán alebo vicišpán znamenal župan, šolga znamená sluha. Also some words connected to farming and settlement. For example, ablak alebo oblak, okno, gazda, astal je stôl, gerenda, záhrada, meď, mede, župa. Or also for church, keniez, kňaz, pogány, pohan, andial, aniel, kereštény, kresťan. Čiže viete si tam nájsť nejakú tú paralelu zvukovú, keď to počujete. So all of these words had Old Slavic origin, and the Hungarians adopted them and they gave them this Hungarian accent. Okay, so these are the evidences. So you need to know that Hungarians were nomadic. They came from the Ural into Pannonian lowland. They were named after the leading tribe Magyars, led by Arpad. Firstly, they were attacking the rich European cities, but after the Battle of Lechfeld, they changed their way of life. So they settled in Pannonian lowland. The Slavs became their teachers because they were their neighbors, and we have many evidence of the relations between the Hungarians and Slavs. For example, the Slavic origin of some of the Hungarian words. The Hungarians didn't have word for these things because they had never had administration or farms before. So that's why they needed those words. So they took it from the Old Slavic language. The next part of the lecture will be formation of the Hungarian kingdom. So how the Slavs became the part of the Hungarian kingdom. So, from the 970, Grand Prince Geza from the House of Arpad, we know that Arpad was a leader of the Hungarians, and Geza was his son, who weakened the power of the local tribal chiefs and started to build a centralized political formation called Hungary. He also invited Bavarian missionaries to spread Christianity. Because before, these nomadic tribes were mostly barbaric, so pagan. They had their own, usually polytheistic religion. So Geza invited Bavarian missionaries to spread Christianity, and he started to build this kingdom. This process was finished by Geza's son, named Vaik, who accepted the Christian name, so he was baptized, and he accepted the name Stephen I. He was crowned a first Hungarian king by the Roman Pope in the year 1000 AD. Okay, so when I will ask who was the first king of the Hungary, it was Stephen I, and his original name was Vaik. I will definitely ask about this because Stephen I is important king for me. You do not need to know about Geza, but Vaik or Stephen I is important for me. So you should remember both of these names, Vaik and Stephen. And also, he's reformed. So what he did, because he in fact started the whole administration of the kingdom. And he did so according to the German model. Firstly, he promoted agriculture, safeguarded private property with strict laws, and organized a standing army. He opened the country to strong foreign influences while saving it from German conquest. He treated the church as the principal pillar of his authority. He also reorganized a state public administration, so the kingdom was divided into counties. Po slovensky kráľovstvo bolo rozdelené do žúp. And in the counties there were castles led by coms, alebo teda vedené županmi, who were appointed by the king. So we can say that this com was a custodian or legal guardian of the king's property. So all of the castles in the kingdom belonged to the king, but he could give a guardianship to this com to take care of his property, and this com could live in the particular castle. Stephen I established the presbyteries, bishoprics, and archbishoprics in Esztergom and many monasteries, for example in Zobor, Hronský Svätý Benedikt, or Bzovík. So these were centers of culture and education, because we know that during the Middle Ages, these were centers of the education because the monks kept the record about everything. Okay? After Stephen I died, the situation became very complicated, because his son died even before Stephen. So there were many fights for power and interventions from the Holy Roman Empire. Territory in the 10th and 12th century of the kingdom consisted of Hungary, Slovakia, Croatia, parts of Ukraine, Romania, Poland, Serbia, Austria, Slovenia, and Bosnia. But at different time, different lands belonged to the Kingdom of Hungary. The creation of the Kingdom of Hungary accelerated the formation of the Slovak nationality. This was mainly because the Slovaks just had to distinguish from the others, so they started to realize that the Slovaks are different from the other peoples living in the monarchy. Okay, so there were also other nationalities living in the kingdom. These were the Hungarians, the Germans, the Valons, and the Kipchaks, alebo Plavci po slovensky. So, what you need to remember from this slide is mostly Geza's son Vaik, who accepted the Christian name Stephen I and became the first Hungarian king, crowned by the Roman Pope in the year 1000 AD. So it's easy to remember, right? He organized the kingdom according to the German model. So he promoted this agriculture, safeguarded private property with strict laws, and he organized the army. He opened the country to strong foreign influences, but also at the same time saving it from German conquest. He treated the church as the principal pillar of his authority. He reorganized the state public administration, so he established counties led by coms, who were basically custodians or legal guardians of the king's property. He established the presbyteries, bishoprics, and archbishoprics in Esztergom. Esztergom je Ostrihom, čo je hlavné arcibiskupstvo v Ostrihome pre Uhorské kráľovstvo. In the same time, he established many monasteries, for example Zobor, that is in Nitra, Hronský Svätý Beňadik, and Bzovík. These were the centers of culture and education. After Stephen I died airless, there were many fights for power, interventions from the Holy Roman Empire. After the Kingdom of Hungary was established, the Slovaks started to realize their own nationality. So it can sound like a little paradox, but usually when you are in the kingdom with many other nations, you have to distinguish yourself from the others. So the other nationalities living in the kingdom were Hungarians, Germans, Valons, and Chipchaks. These were tribes who came also from the east. Okay, in the picture you can see the famous crown of the Stephen I that has very typical cross, so it's kind of crooked. Okay, so I can ask you, what is this? And it's Stephen's crown, okay, or crown of Stephen I. So it's like national treasure of the Hungarians. Here I have a map of all Hungarian counties. So when you will take a closer look, it's easy to distinguish the territory of modern-day Slovakia and its counties. So Pozsony means Bratislava, then there's Nitra, Trenčín, Trenčín, Arva, Orava, Liptov, Zoliom je Zvolen, Turoč, Turiec, Hont je vlastne aj dnes Hontiansky región, Šepeš, Spiš, Sároš, Šariš, Zemplín, Abaj, Torna je Abolsko-Turnianská župa, Gömereč, Kishont je Gemer a Malohont, Nograd je Novohrad. Áno, čiže myslím si, že celkom ľahko sa to dá rozoznať a že v tom spoznáte aj dnešné regióny. So you do not need to know these counties, but we can say that also nowadays we are distinguishing these regions. Then I have the Kingdom of Hungary in the map. So the green area is Kingdom of Hungary, and you have the flag of the Kingdom of Hungary. So this tricolor, and you have the coat of arms that two angels are holding, and there is also the Stephen's crown, okay, with that typical cross. I'll move on to the next king. So the one who came after the Stephen I. And this was Andrew I, alebo po slovensky Ondrej. He gave a part of his kingdom to his brother Béla. By this, he created Duchy of Nitra. That was basically a continuity of Nitrava. This territory was an important part of the kingdom because, in fact, it occupied like 1/3 of the territory. He did this because the kingdom was a huge territory, and so he wanted to give him this part for organization, so Andrew would have still a lot of territory to organize. Béla I, as a Duke of Nitrava, led a relatively independent policy. So in the Duchy of Nitra, he minted his own coins, had good relationships with the Byzantine Empire, and later he became the king of the whole Kingdom of Hungary after the Andrew I's death. So for the next 50 years, the future kings were firstly the Dukes of Nitra to acquire necessary skills to become kings. For example, Saint Ladislaus I, because Béla I realized that this time when he was just Duke of Nitrava was really good for him because he acquired all of these important skills, So he transformed this into a tradition for the next 50 years. But the Duchy of Nitra was abolished by Koloman I, the son of Saint Ladislaus I. Okay, so it was not independent territory, it was still part of the kingdom, but there was a certain freedom given to the future king of the whole Hungarian kingdom to acquire these skills. But during the reign of Koloman I, it was abolished. In the 12th century, during the reign of Béla I, the Kingdom of Hungary became a great European power. Thanks to his successful foreign policy, he obtained territories in Serbia and forced rich Dalmatian cities to accept his domination. There were problems between upper and lower class of nobility. And this struggle to deal with the nobility continued also during the reign of the Andrew II, who was an ambitious but incapable ruler who participated in the Fifth Crusade and led unsuccessful campaigns to Galicia. Galicia is part of modern-day Poland and Ukraine, and these military ambitions and expeditions were expensive and brought him a lot of problems. So he was ambitious, he wanted to spread the territory of Hungarian kingdom, but in fact he was not able to deal with the nobility. So the Hungarian nobles forced him to sign the Golden Bull in the year 1222. Again, easy year to remember. And this document was called like that because it had a golden seal. This document meant that the nobles and the church were freed from taxes and could not be forced to go to war outside of Hungary, and also not obliged to finance it. So this means that they could be used only for the defense, and they could not be forced to go to fight outside, so only if they want to, voluntarily. This was because, as I mentioned, Andrew II led these expensive expeditions to Galicia, and for this he put a huge taxation on the nobles, who didn't like that, of course. They also put ius resistendi to the Golden Bull. This is the right of the nobles to fight against the king if their rights were violated. So this is like right to resist. Okay? Ius resistendi znamená právo vzdorovať. And some of these paragraphs of the Golden Bull were not abolished until the year 1848. So they were still then used because nobody really declared this Golden Bull invalid. Okay, so this is just like the fun fact. So what I wanted to remember from this is Andrew I, who created the Duchy of Nitra and gave it to his brother Bela. Bela established this a tradition because he wanted the next king to acquire important skills. So this was just like the practice for future kings. This was abolished by Koloman I, and during the next kings, like Bela III, the Hungary became a great European power, but there were problems with upper and lower nobility. Andrew II led expensive expeditions to Galicia, and so the nobles were unsatisfied because they had to pay for this. So they forced him to sign the Golden Bull of 1222, the document with the golden seal, in which the nobles and the church were freed from taxes, could not be forced to go to war outside of Hungary, not obliged to finance it. There was ius resistendi, right to resist. So nobles had the right to fight against the king if their rights were violated. In the picture you have Andrew II and also the golden seal from the Golden Bull. Okay, so this is how the seal looked like. It was very precious. Andrew's son, Bela IV, had ambitions to strengthen this position, and he started to be successful, but then the Tatar invasion interrupted his effort. This Tatar invasion happened because the nomadic tribe of Cumans was expelled by the Mongols or Tatars. So Mongols and Tatars are the same tribe. Okay, so these Cumans were expelled, and so they had to leave from this territory, and they settled down in Hungary. And this justified the attack of Tatars led by Batu Khan in 1241. Okay, so the Tatars used this pretext that the Cumans settled in Hungary, that they attacked the Kingdom of Hungary. In the Battle of the Sajor River, the Hungarian army was defeated. Hovoríme o bitke pri Slanej, when the Tatars won over the Hungarians. Bela IV left the battlefield and fled to Dalmatia to save himself. After that, when the country was just left to Tatars without the king, they occupied the country. They slaughtered the population that was resisting. Wooden cities and castles were burned, and whole kingdom was devastated by the Tatars. So this was a catastrophe for the Hungarian kingdom. But fortunately, the great Khan Ogodei died, and Batu Khan, in his will to be the new ruler, hurried home to be the new ruler. And so the Mongolian invasion of the Kingdom of Hungary was over 1 year later in 1242. So this was a great luck, but still this invasion heavily influenced the kingdom. The invasion was followed by crop failure, which caused famine and many diseases, and Bela had many enemies to fight after his return because he left the country in the worst time. And so after that he tried to solve the situation in kingdom by supporting immigration of Germans and Valons and building many stone castles, because before the castles were mostly made of wood, and so they were really easy to burn down. So Bela's solution for this problem was immigration of Germans and Valons, čiže nemecká a valašská vlna prisťahovalcov bola pozvaná do Uhorska a takisto podpora budovania kamenných domov a kamenných hradov. You can see in the picture how this looked like. So you have the city in which the Tatars are burning the churches and houses and so on. After the reign of Bela IV and short reign of Stephen V, there was Ladislaus IV the Cuman, who lived in a Cuman camp more than he was the ruler. And in the end, he was murdered by the Cumans, in the end airless. So after that, total feudal anarchy started. The last Arpadian king, Andrew III, never broke the power of the magnates. Eastern Slovakia was under the influence of Magyars regime, Eastern Slovakia under the influence of Abba family, and Western Hungary under the influence of the lords of Kisek. After Turkey and the rules of the nobles and the fights over the succession, Charles Robert of Anjou was appointed as the King of Hungary with the help of Pope, and he was crowned the Hungarian king for 3 times. This will be a funny story during the next online lecture. So what you need to know from this slide is that Andrew's son, Bela IV, had ambitions to strengthen his position, but he was interrupted by Tatar invasion. The Mongols came because of the Cumans were expelled and they settled in Hungary, so they justified this attack by this. So the invasion started in 1241 and the Mongols won the battle of the Sayre River and the Hungarian army was defeated. Bela IV fled to Dalmatia, so he left the country, and the country was devastated by the Tatars or by the Mongolians. Fortunately, the Batu Khan had to leave back to Mongolia because the great Khan Ogodei died and Batu Khan wanted to be the new ruler, so he hurried home. So the invasion was over after 1 year. The invasion heavily influenced the kingdom, and so when the Bela IV returned, he started to support immigration of Germans and Valons and building of stone castles and houses. The last Arpadian king was Andrew III, who never broke the power of the magnates. After that, the anarchy started. The disorganization by the strongest nobles was happening. So there was Matthew Czak of Tenchin for the Western Slovakia, Abba family for Eastern Slovakia, Lords of Kisek for Western Hungary. And after the anarchy and the rules of the nobles and the fight over the succession happened, Charles Robert of Anjou was appointed the King of Hungary. So here I stop and I will continue during the next online lecture on Friday, which will be our final lecture of this year. So for this time, bye.